What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Peace of Mind Project. My name is Ayo Kunle Adadapo, and I'm a licensed therapist here in the state of Maryland. And I'm here with
Selena Omenankiti, and I am also a licensed therapist here in Maryland.
Greg Amobi, and I'm an upcoming licensed therapist in the state of Maryland.
and we have a fourth who is Adi Bukola, but she wasn't able to be with us today, but she will be in future episodes, and then we'll get to meet her when she comes in. Today we're going to be talking about what peace means to us and essentially why we started this whole podcast or project or whatever you'd like to call it. But I'll start off, and what peace means to me, the definition grows as I get older, but as of right now it's more like when situations happen, when like life throws wrenches at you, how do you choose to handle it? Am I going to do something that I wouldn't naturally do because I feel like I just need to do something in this time and I just can't be and let whatever is going on pass? I feel like when I'm at peace, I can watch situations that I have no control over happen, and I can just let them happen knowing that I can't affect it too much, and I'm just going to be secure in myself, and when it passes, I understand that it passes and I didn't lose any part of myself in the process of it passing. That's a big part of peace for me, and then just being able to do healthy things that I feel relate to me on a daily basis. I'd say like part of peace for me is identity security, if anything, among other things. But what do y'all think?
I loved how you kind of mentioned just in terms of like watching the things that may disturb us or wave us just go by. And I love that because I like this, it's like this feeling of being unwavered. Because I think with human beings, we care so much on emotions. I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling happy, and we dictate our actions based on that. And a lot of peace, based on what you're describing, has to do with I'm not going to be dictated by how I'm feeling. I'm going to remain in this state that's unwavered. And as things are happening, I'll do what I can. But for the things that I can't control, I'm not going to let it affect me. And I love that.
Solid. I'll say for me, it's more so like doing something that you love. It helps you, like your escape in a sense. When you find peace, there's nothing that's going to get you out that zone once you're in doing that something that you love. Whether it's something creative, something that you're just find like a hobby or something like that, but that's your escape. And also while you're doing that hobby, or that's something that's creative, you're letting it out through your talent, through your gift, or whatever you're doing. Whether you're blowing steam off at the gym and getting those reps in, you're hitting that PR thing. That's something that it helps you feel good. Like, I'm in my zone. Like everything else that happened that day, it doesn't matter because I'm putting all of my frustration or happiness or everything into putting these weights in. Or it's like, for example, for me, I love to dance. So when I dance, wherever I'm feeling that moment, I release it into my dance move because every dance move that I make, there's some type of emotion that comes out of it. There's some type of movement that comes with it, and it's expressing how I feel, right down from the movement of the song to the song choice. So it all plays a part, and it helps me release it in a healthy way too. So like I'm no longer like stressing myself out about what's going on, but I'm releasing it through art. It helps me find some peace and some common ground with something by using my talent and my gifts and my love, and trying to cope with certain things that I'm going through.
Definitely. I think I usually think of like in this analogy with like a bird in the storm type of thing where she's kind of sitting on the branch. You're just there, just watching the storm happen. It always reminds me of peace because like the bird was securing his identity while the storm is going on. It's like I can't fly while the rain is going on because my wings aren't that strong. So it understands it's not going to just jump out and do something that will probably end in its detriment. He waits. And then when the storm is over, of course, it's going to be able to fly. But I think that speaks a lot to what we kind of experience as humans going through life. It's like so many different things happen to us all the time. We can't really ever control if anything's going to happen to us or not, because it's probably going to. But we always have control over how we choose to approach those situations. And when we don't really have a secure understanding of who we are and the things that are in our control versus the things that are out of our control, we tend to act pretty sporadically, right? And tend to do things that we necessarily wouldn't do, or we start to do things that we may end up regretting later in the future. And we get to the point later in the future after the situation's passed and look back and we're like, dang, I probably shouldn't have done that. And then you're probably like, oh, that situation probably wasn't that bad to require that. But once we're like able to practice building peace and understanding who we are and understanding that storms are going to pass, I think that allows us to be grounded even in situations that feel hopeless. And I think that destination of being able to be grounded when situations feel hopeless is a strong definition of peace, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
That's very solid. I also think what you just said about the peace thing, it's very interesting because it's always like trying to find that common ground, especially when you're going through some. I feel like a lot of people in the midst of the moment with how they're feeling, instead of using logic, they'll go based off emotion. And then like, however they're feeling that moment, they feel like what they're doing is the best thing and the right thing. And until you now calm down, and then you realize you replay the situation, and it's like, dang, I wish I didn't play out like that. I wish I didn't get angry like I said. I wish I actually expressed how I felt, because now it's like I acted off an impulsive feeling. And feelings waver. Like there's days you can feel sad one moment, but in 5 minutes later, are you still gonna feel sad? And how are you now going to now play out the situation again? Because now it's like you were in a situation that it's like, this isn't really how I felt. I felt at the moment, but this feeling isn't going to last forever. So I need to make the decision in a way that's more logical. For me, it sounds like I don't have to regret what I did, like you said, and then look at it just differently, and that brings you a peace of mind. And also shows you like there's growth as well. Growth also helps with peace. I'm saying the way you used to handle situations versus now, it's like, well, there's a change. And when you see that, it helps you understand what you're going through as a person.
Definitely.
I think that everything you guys are mentioning is all encompassing of how I view peace. Peace for me has to do with this state of existence. I think that as human beings, we're more than just, I'm Io, I'm Selena, I'm Greg, right? We hold roles for and by other people. So we're roles in terms of we're daughters, we're sons, we're friends, we're partners, we're X, Y, and Z. Because of that, I think it takes, at least for me, it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of pressure to hold. So being able to be in a state where I don't feel that same pressure. I'm mindful that I'm here. I'm just me. Having that state of existence allows me, and a lot of it comes from also like the idea of feelings, right? Being in a state where I'm having the moment to let me recollect myself, right? Because like what you said, our feelings are fleeting. Our feelings are constantly wavering. Imagine acting in a way because you're feeling a certain way and it changes 5 minutes later versus, you know what, right now, I'm just me. I'm having this emotion and I'm kind of resting in that so that I'm able to make better decisions for myself.
Definitely. I think that kind of leads into the whole idea of this project, right? Of what we're trying to put together, right? So many different things happen in the world, and I think in this age of social media, it's like we're everything that happens in the world is brought to our face. So everybody has different opinions. It's really easy to see a situation similar to what you're going through on social media, and 9 times out, it's really hard to determine if what this person's saying is beneficial or not, or is even the best way to approach it, right? And in this age of social media, anxiety seems to be like an all-time high. We really just don't know how to go through situations that happen, right? It's like the idea of this is that we're able to talk about those things that happen, right? Talk about all the controversial things that are going on in the world, but the idea is that when you hear us talk about it, it's like you leave with a sense of peace because you're able to be like, oh, the situation may be kind of bad right now, but like, this is a good perspective that I could adopt and hold on to, so that I actually know, I don't hurt myself in the process of whatever I'm going through, right? And I think that's something that's pretty important and definitely needed right now in the social media realm. Just more positive things or positive ways to approach situations that go on in the world, so that people don't feel as hopeless or feel as lonely in their situations. Because I think throughout this process, we're also going to talk about our own personal experience, right? And a lot of times, even the most trivial experience that we have speaks a lot to somebody who's watching, because they're like, dang, I didn't know that other people felt like that or experienced that. And I think that in itself brings a certain level of peace, because you're like, okay, I think there's a certain level of peace that comes with knowing that you're not the only one going through something. And then saying that you can relate to somebody that's going through it, but then also hearing how they approached it, and it actually sounds like a healthy thing that you could adopt for yourself. I think that'd do a lot of good for people.
And I also think that when it comes to this podcast, it's so important that we're not giving therapist advice, right? This is not a platform to this is not a platform to we know everything, right? We're expertise in this and you got to listen to us. Like how you said, this is just giving a new perspective. You could choose to adopt it. You can not adopt it, right? That's your choice, but we want to widen your range. One thing that has been dawning on me over the last couple of months, especially being a clinician, is this aspect of I have to be upright for my clients, but I'm a human being. So I do have down days. I have sad days. I have odd days. I have groggy days, right? I feel to some capacity, I work extra hard to make myself grow or challenge myself in ways that would be beneficial for my clients. And I like this atmosphere as well because you're getting a new perspective, you're getting new thoughts from someone who's not an expertise, but someone who's living life and trying to be better in life, just like you are.
And she says something. We're all therapists, but we're not giving therapy. So this is just our opinions. You don't really have to take what we're saying seriously if you don't want to. You don't have to agree. You can agree, you can disagree. Let us know in the comments what you think or feel about anything that we said.
That's solid. I also think that like a lot of people who don't like find peace because they're so busy trying to compare themselves to others and try to compete and do something next. That's why when I think about this podcast, it challenges you to really look at yourself in a different perspective. If like put yourself in a different shoe to really understand, okay, like looking from the outside in, if you were to look at your life right now, do you think you have peace? What are you doing that's stopping you from gaining that peace? And if you see it, now what are you going to do about it? I feel like when you challenge yourself to actually do something that's uncomfortable, it gets uneasy. It's like, dang, I'm doing something I've never done before. And so it's like, I don't think I want to do it, but you have to realize you have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable again. You have to like come out of your comfort zone because a lot of people, we stay trapped in this bubble because we don't know what's going to happen if we try X, Y, and Z just to feel better, do better. But there's a lot of things that require you to find peace. Is like you have to unlearn some things. You really have to like step out and enlarge your capacity, enlarge your tent, so you can really see like, hey, what's really holding me back from getting to where I want to be? Because we all want to get somewhere, but sometimes our situations from our past hold us back, but we also hold ourselves back because we don't think we were able to achieve to X, Y, and Z. We think other people will look at us differently because we're trying to achieve X, Y, and Z. We see things on the internet that makes us feel like, dang, I'm not doing enough, or this person's doing something that's different from me, and they may seem happy, and it's like, dang, I'm not happy because I'm not where I want to be at. That state of comparison holds you back from actually achieving what you want to do. The internet's not real. Do not let it fool you. Get some peace. Be happy with yourself. You're doing great. But at the moment you start comparing yourself to others, that's when you start losing track of what the main prize is. Keep your eye on the ball and don't lose focus. So I feel like a lot of lose focus when they try and do things.
Definitely.
I think that ties so well to what Ayo was saying in terms of a sense of peace for him being his self-identity. It is very hard to compare yourself to someone and reach after joy at the same time because you hear this all the time, it's so corny, but it's so real. Everybody's journey is different. I am completely different from my family. We grew up the same X, Y, and Z, but I don't have the same characteristics. I don't have the same everything. And just that alone shows you how much of a journey it is to reach in a state where you have joy, where you have peace, where you're in a state of peace, whatever that looks like for you. It takes effort, it takes intentionality, and you have to be willing to do it. Because some people will literally say, I don't want to get uncomfortable, and that's fine. That is fine. You don't have to get uncomfortable, but you also have to be comfortable with being where you are. If you're not happy and you don't want to get uncomfortable, you may just stay in a state of unsatisfaction for a while, right? But it takes a level of willingness, a desire to, you know what, I'm not really liking where I'm at. I don't like how I'm feeling. I want to feel more, whatever that looks like. It means being willing and uncomfortable and intentional.
And I think being uncomfortable is a very big and important thing to understand because I think nothing really worthwhile in life comes without a certain level of uncomfort. And it's interesting to think about when we really see that, like, we really think about it hard enough. It's either we're dealing with the uncomfort of not moving, or you're dealing with the uncomfort of moving. You're never really in between. It's usually one or the other. It's like, all right, you're either at a place right now where you are not happy with where your life is at, and that in itself is very uncomfortable, or you are in a place where you're trying to improve your life, which in itself is also not that comfortable of a process. But the outcome of both are very different. Which one do you want? Which one do you want to kind of experience? The outcome of your life just continuing to go in the wrong direction while you're just watching it, or the outcome of, all right, that didn't feel good, but I came out of it a better person than I started. Because at the end of the day, this whole journey of life, like you just said, it's not between me and the next person. It's between who I was yesterday versus who I am today, who I'm trying to be tomorrow. And it's like everything that we hear, everything that we see going on in the world shouldn't be to fan the flame of you competing with other people. It should just be beneficial information that you use to improve yourself from who you were the day before. It's like the idea is that, like, if you're keeping yourself in that frame of mind where it's like, I'm not competing with anybody else, this is just a journey of myself trying to understand who I was yesterday and become the person that I'm called to be for tomorrow. I think once if we're all able to come to that understanding and move in that sense, the world would be a beautiful place. Because there's no judgment, there's no comparison. It's just like, oh, you're trying to improve yourself. Here's what I did to help me with the similar situation. I think you could try this too, and then vice versa. And I think like, you can call me an idealist, but I think that everybody was able to come to some level of understanding like that. I think the world would be an amazing place.
I think so too. And it's crazy because like everybody's like, you trying to find peace and all that. Like, but at the same time, you're just living life. You gotta live life to actually to see that. You know, you have to experience things. You have to go through things. There's, like y'all said, there's gonna be days where you're good, you're on 10, everything's cool. But there's days you'll be on 0 and you'll be like, dang, life sucks and everything. And that's normal, that's reality. You're not gonna have a good day every single day. But you're also not gonna have a bad day every single day. So you wanna live more to have a good day than a bad day. And even when bad days come, you know how to handle it, what I need to do in order to be better, so I don't have to like, stay in this funk. And one of the things that I always learned that people finding peace is like you need to find peace and heal yourself, because there's going to be someone else you're going to meet who's going to be in the same situation as you or even worse, and they need to hear your story. They need to hear what you went through and all that stuff, so you can inspire them and give them like, dang, there's still hope. There's still a chance. So understanding you're finding peace and getting yourself for yourself, but you also keep in mind that there's someone out there who needs you. Someone else who needs to hear what you're going through. You can inspire them so they cannot like go through that same issue. Something that took you probably like 5 years to get through, because you went through it and you understand the process. Someone else who's not going through that same situation, it won't take them 5 years because you're not put them on game. Like, yo, this is what I need to tell you to do. Instead of going this way, go that way. You know what I'm saying? So you lessen the process. So something that took you 5 years, it now takes them probably like 5 months. Takes them like a year max, because you did your part of healing and finding peace. Now you can give it to somebody else, because you can't give what you don't have. So be able to give, if you're able to find peace for yourself, and then give it to somebody else, help them understand and find their way of finding peace, it helps the whole process come better. And it starts to create a whole generation of people finding peace and doing things that are better. And then instead of them going the wrong way, they can go things the best way, because you did your part to start something off right.
Definitely. I think that's definitely really important. And I think like a big part of something you said that's really important is that, because it made me think about the fact that life it's an interesting thing, because it's really a matter of 10% experiences and then 90% the way you can choose to conceptualize that experience. Right. So it's like your personal state, like where you are, determines how you conceptualize whatever it is that you've experienced. If you're just in a rut and you're not secure with yourself or at a level of peace, the smallest experience could be the most detrimental thing to you. And it's really important to understand that everything that's going on in life, like that, it's not really a good or bad, it's just a objective thing. And we are the ones that define whether good or bad is going to be attributed to that thing or not. And your level of peace, where you are mentally, determines how many things you're attributing negative connotations to or positive connotations to. It'd be really important for us to understand where we are at with our personal level of peace, because when we understand where we are at mentally and like what our lens is, then it also helps us understand how we're conceptualizing the things that we've seen in life. It's really important to make that distinction. 10% of what happens in life is just 10% of the experience that you're thinking about, right? And then everything that has happened to you throughout your life up to this point is determining how you're going to view that thing. When we think of it like that, it makes it a little bit more important for us to understand that how I think about things is much more important than what I'm actually experiencing. Because it's like you can be in the flame, but like if the way that you view the flame is not as detrimental as the flame is, there's some level of peace that you'll be able to be at. There's a certain level of calm that you'll be able to be at, and you'll probably be able to figure out a way to get out. But if you're in the flame and you're like, dang, this is the worst thing I've ever felt before in my life, I would never get out of this. It's like you've already kind of just given up. You just kind of quit. And it's a big thing to understand that it's really just our own minds. Like you're in a battle with yourself. Like you're not in a battle with other people. And if anything, all of us as human beings are really here to support each other because of the fact that we are in the battle with ourselves, with our minds. Your mind is constantly just filtering different things and you're choosing whether or not this is positive or negative. It's causing you to see X, Y, and Z. You're feeling secure one moment, you're feeling unsecure. The next moment, you're happy. 1 second, you're angry. All that's internal. And now imagine going through that internal battle. And then on top of that, there's external battles going on as well.
Man.
You know, that's just a big concoction of problems. The idea is that we're able to just give a different perspective on that and help us all feel supported by one another and know that we're not doing this life for ourselves and we're not each other's enemy. If anything, we're each other's support for the internal battles that we all go through. Nobody's excluded from these internal battles. People you see that are happy are just people that probably are either one lying because they may not be happy, or they figured out how to get to a certain level of peace for themselves and just understand that not everything's in their control and just have been able to be secure in that.
I think that as we kind of conclude this first episode, it's super important to be mindful. A lot of what you were talking about, if I could just like summarize it, comes to perspective. The way you view things matter. And like that is why kind of going after your peace, knowing your truth, knowing your identity and self, not allowing your feelings to waver how you act is super important, because the way that we view situations can determine our actions, which can determine our mood and all of that good stuff, all of that bad stuff, right? Just being very mindful, right? How am I viewing the situation in front of me? Not all situations are good. That is a fact, right? But being mindful, how am I viewing it? How do I want to interpret it, right? Looking at it from an objective view and kind of just, you know what, there's a flame right there versus, is two different things. This was a great conversation and discussion. We thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Peace of Mind Project. So stay tuned for more episodes.